Hello there. Hey guys, how's it going? Today I have a little bit of inventorying to do. I want to go through some slabs that I've been behind on, catalog them. Already wrote down the pop and the price, share them with you guys, and I think this is just going to be a little series that I just do, showcase what my inventory is, my collection, and I can, knock down two birds with one stone. I can finally catch up and catalog everything, have my inventory up to date. At the same time, I can share, some of the stuff that I buy and some of the stuff that I like. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Again, thanks for all the support lately. I checked my analytics, and it looked like 70 or 80% of the people actually came through recommendations and not through the subscribers, which, for me was kind of a shock. There are a ton of subs on the channel, likely all dead. In hindsight, I probably should have made a new channel, but I don't really care. So thank you for the support. Thanks for coming. If you have any comments or questions, leave them down below. But yeah, let's get into it. We're going to go through some Tag Team All-Stars GX cards. Now, there's not any rhyme or reason why I'm starting with these cards or this card. Back in the day, the set sold for about 55 to 60 bucks on Amazon Japan. And you could buy it fairly regularly. This was, I think, 2020, 2019, I forget. I opened up probably 20 boxes, and in those 20 boxes, I pulled two of these. I also bought a handful of them raw. I think I paid, though, back then, $250, $300 for them raw. In a PSA 10 these days, this card sells for $200 to $250. So ever since last summer's pump, Japanese pump, and then the crash, I've noticed that there are cards like this and other Japanese cards that just never really recovered. Oh, excuse me. You'll probably recognize this card in English. It came out in English, and unfortunately, this used to be variant exclusive to Japanese, meaning this style, this color, this gold texture was exclusive to Japanese until 2 years ago. They released the Jumbo collection with in English, and honestly, that version looks terrible compared to this. And I think since then too, it kind of hurt this card's potential. I love this card. I do have a full set of all the gold cards in this set. Actually, I think I have the booster box here somewhere. Yeah, flex. Nice display, man. I do have a display of a lot of different booster boxes, so I do like showcasing this stuff. This is the box, nice and petite, high class set. I think these days this goes for like 500. The pull rates for the gold cards, I believe, are terrible. So if you're thinking about buying this set rip, I would not recommend it. And the top cards are actually waifus or trainers. Let's continue. Why do I have this here? Mewtwo Mew. I would say this is probably my most favorite version of these gold cards. This is a variant exclusive. Only comes in Japanese. This gold texture, and you can see. I like this small detail you see in Japanese that you just don't see in English. Pop wise, it's about a pop to 1200, and look at that. Value wise, sells for like $200 to $250. This is something that I plan on keeping. However, and the topic I want to talk about today, the thing I learned through last year, as I understood how to sell, as I understood how to navigate myself in this community, this ecosystem, is everything has a price. And so this is 200. If someone came to me tomorrow and said, hey, I want to offer you 350 to 4, I would gladly accept it. And there's also arbitrage there. I could probably find another copy that's raw or even this graded. I anticipate these are going to go down more. I could buy it. I can be patient, and I could get this some way or another sometime in the future. I think that's important too. I know I have these cards here. I can flex them. I like the display. I'm getting graded cards, so I'm going to put put them all in the graded cards and have them just chill there. I put them there as a regular daily reminder, first and foremost, to appreciate the stuff that I get into, the stuff that I buy. I think for a long time when I got back into the hobby, I would just amass and buy things. And my wife had a couple sit downs with me. She's saying like, dude, what are you doing? You have all these cards everywhere. How do you know where things are? And how do you even how do you appreciate them? How do you adore them? And I think I've really taken that to heart now, where I'm trying my best to only keep the things that I like, and of the things I like, everything has a price. It's not because I'm trying to flip them necessarily, but it's more so I recognize that opportunity is really about, are you liquid enough? In order to take advantage of opportunity, are you liquid enough? Are you patient enough? And those will basically determine, if you're ready. All of these cards I love. I'm confident I will get all of them back one day if I decide to sell them. If they hit my margin goals, if I get a good value on them, it would be tough for me to get rid of this guy. But if someone wants them and they're serious about it, I would consider it. And that is what I learned from last year being in this business. You can't try to hold on to everything, because the arbitrage opportunity in this space is constant. It always happens. You could look in different websites. You can go on Facebook. You buy something for cheap here, sell it over there. And I think if you are not ready for that, your collection or your inventory, whatever, you're going to stay stagnant. You're not going to be able to grow. You're not going to be able to raise, gain more revenue to spend, to purchase things, and to expand your inventory. Guard Shop at Giratina. Back to this. Back to me rambling. Guard Shop at Giratina. I think this is one of the least popular ones outside of Lucario and Melmetal. Price wise, it's about $100. Pop wise, it's about 800. When I came back heavily into Pokemon and I started going through all the eras and remembering which games had which Pokemon, I did not realize how popular Giratina was. For me, it just looks like a disgusting bug. But that's one lesson I learned. Don't fight what's popular. If it's popular, even if you don't like it, it's still popular. People are going to buy it. People are going to sell it, and don't discriminate because you don't like it. The Three Birds. Oh, the Three Birds. This and the Giratina Garchomp are variant exclusive to Japanese. In Hidden Fates in English, I think there's two versions of this, like an alt art and then a rainbow. So in gold is version exclusive. I like that. Great looking card. Put that away. Pop wise, the Garchomp is 830, and I have it on a sheet over here. This one's actually the third. It has 1150, which is amazing. It makes sense. 151. Legendaries, people like that. This has grown on me. Pikachu and Zekrom. This is not variant exclusive because they printed the jumbo set a few years back. But this version, just compared to the English one, I had the English ones put away somewhere. I should have pulled them out. It just look at that. Just look at that. I remember when I was buying these raw, the Charizard was a lot easier to find than the Mewtwo. And those two are both easier to find than this. I don't know what it was. I think at the time, maybe due to popularity, it's Pikachu, I'm not sure. But the price for this hasn't really held up. And even back then, it wasn't, I think Charizard was the most expensive at like $350, $400, $300 to $400. This right now is at a $150, and back then, a couple years ago, it was at like $250, I think. Let's continue. What was I talking about before? There are... if I could go back and tell myself, here's something you need to keep in mind as you try to grow this cards business, this card collection, whatever you want to call it. I think the number one thing I would keep myself accountable for is $1 equals $1. What do I mean by that? I think it's too easy to spend money in this hobby and then to have it all, that value immediately go to zero. People buy packs, they like to rip them. The expected value in packs is basically nothing. Very rarely we hit something that's worth, what you paid. And if you're trying to run a business, I love this card so much. See, in English, it doesn't have this much texture. But in Japanese, let me see if I get a better angle, actually. Japanese is just... love it. This is Gyarados Secret Rare from Rage of the Broken Heavens. First edition. There's a unlimited edition too, I believe. Pop $457 and currently $350. I think this is undervalued. I love this card a lot. The art, if you can't tell, I'm a Gyarados fan. Grew up, leveling up the Magikarp to 20. Getting him to evolve, teaching Gyarados all the moves, and having him destroy everything. XY is an interesting spot in Japanese. It feels like there's more demand for it. It feels like the prices are going up. However, it also feels like more and more of it just starts popping up out of nowhere. So I'm not really sure why. If I had to guess, I can't prove this. If I had to guess, there are people in the local market who have these cards, and they're outgrading it because the value is going up, and so they're trying to capitalize on that. And that, that's a factor that may not be true. I have no idea. But the point is, I think that's the kind of stuff that you have to keep in mind when you get into this card space. That kind of stuff can happen. There's no right, there's no wrong, there's no truth, there's no not truth. There's so many factors that can come into play and determine a card's price point and its availability that unless it came directly from the source, which would be the Pokemon Company, you have no idea of knowing why, there are 50,000 versions of this card out or copies of this card out. You have no idea. You have no way of knowing if, there's a card shop out there that has 5,000 copies of these ready to grade and ready to sell. And I these are ridiculous things I'm saying. I'm saying that because you have to be prepared for the most radical changes in the space. You have to operate with some level of principle and rule set, know how to take profits, know exactly how much you should be paying, because at any moment, something can happen and the market will change. It's manipulated. It's moved in your favor, against your favor. Especially with this Japanese stuff. I'll be honest. It only takes a few people to go into eBay, buy. Actually, I have a good example. Buy a few of those, and then the price would go up. That is how delicate and how premature, how young and unruly a lot of this ecosystem is. I'll use another example. I bought this card. I will share how much I paid for it. I paid $1,500 for this card during the Mercari sale. 15% off. Now, I bought it because, one, I've always wanted this card in English, but it was outside of my price range. Two, this is a fairly rare card. At least that's what I think. That's what I thought. You don't see a lot of it. On eBay, I think there was only 2 or 3 listed, including my own. Guess what happened? After I bought this, because I browse Bai every single day, Magipoki, which is a Japanese card shop, listed theirs on Instagram for, I think, $1,800. On Bai, there were a couple listings that were new that were also selling theirs for $1,800 to $2,000. That's nuts, right? I'm not saying I moved the market, but I am saying I am one data point, one purchase point. You can look at, I can send the link. I bought this on Mercari. Everyone can see that it was purchased. You can't see what the listings were before I bought this, but I can tell you that ever since I bought it, I don't feel as good as what I paid for it, because now everyone's selling it around the same price. I bought it because I thought it was going to be super rare, potentially scarce, but people come out of the woodwork, and as soon as there's one data point, you start seeing who has the cards, who's coming out, who wants to sell their stuff, and that's just how these things work. All right, let's continue. Market manipulation is a real thing. Whether you believe it or not, it is a real thing in this hobby. Let's talk about this card. This is the Pokemon Center Black and White promo, which I believe was given away during one of the openings of... Actually, I have no idea. I'm not even going to guess. I'm just going to say it was given away as a promo. It is non-foil, non-hollow, which kind of sucks. But I bought this back in the day. I keep saying that. This is like 4 or 5 years ago at this point. On Mercari. And back then, I would just keep scrolling near mint things. Like, what catches my attention? This card caught my attention just because of all the EVs. And, I was attracted to it because you just don't really see this level of creativity and just purpose in a single card. I think I paid like $90 for it, which is kind of a lot for a raw card. It definitely does not deserve a 10. Don't tell PSA that. I think... Let me see. Oh, well. I'm a big fan of this card. It's a shame, though, that there are more evolutions now that obviously aren't in this card. Price-wise, you're looking at $900 PSA 10, with some sales in that range. Population-wise is at 185. I've tracked the population of this card for a while. There's not a lot of them getting greater than 10, so I'm happy to have this. Again, if someone comes by... Actually, this is probably one of the cases where something in my collection that in my inventory, that I truly enjoy, it would have to take someone to offer more than 30% of what it's worth, more than 130%, 200% maybe, 150% plus, I don't know. Just because I know trying to get another version of this for cheap probably won't happen. And when you have something like this, where the price memory is super high, the likelihood that it goes down, so price memory is what people believe the price to be based on public records, the likelihood that that price is going to go down based on existing price history is very low, because the sales of this are incredibly low. So I think the psychology there is people believe the card is always going to be worth what it was last sold, unless there are a lot of data points that prove otherwise. And this is a card that probably won't ever have that happen. But never say never. I like that card a lot. One of my favorite early grails that I got when I started to build out my collection. This guy, so I actually have 2 copies of this, one in consignment with Dan at Catch 'em All Collectibles. This is the Dialga EX from Phantom Forces, except in Japanese. It's not in Phantom Forces. The Japanese version is in a it's called a Hyper Metal Chain deck. Now this deck, it was a themed deck for Dialga, and the way that they distributed this was 1 out of every 6 of those decks had this card in it. So if you bought a sealed case of those decks, I believe, God, I cannot get the lighting on this guy. I believe this would have came in one, but obviously finding a sealed case of those decks is going to be hard nowadays, but back then I assume was hard as well. So it really was like starter deck gambling. You opened up a bunch of starter decks, 1 in 6, to hopefully get this card. I actually bought a starter deck, one of these decks off of Mercari. It was $60. It obviously was resealed and didn't have the card in it. But it's such a gorgeous card. In Japanese, it's quite rare at Pop 178. There's only one version of it. There's not a first edition. And price wise, it sells for anywhere between, I think, 1,000 to 1,100. This is a really niche card. It's a rare card. I think to the right audience, to the right collector, it stands out. But I've put it on eBay before. I have it consigned now. I have this version I've taken to shows. People are amazed by it. They ask to look at it. But I think it's just one of those cards that costs way too much for... I think they'd rather spend their money on something else. So... this one is in the personal collection. Again, I have another one for sale that's being consigned, so I probably won't need to sell that one anytime soon. Let's get to the Gary. As I mentioned before, I'm a Gyarados fan, and this one I graded. Let me try to find this. Let's try to find this swirl. There it is. See that? I bought this raw. Right now it sells for like $700 or $800. First edition, which is a bit easier to find. There's an unlimited version, which is good luck finding it. Price wise, $700 to $800. Pop wise, it's in about the what do they say? $245. So actually quite low. Japanese E series is incredibly cheap. In fact, I actually think outside of the crystals and the Gengar from Skyridge, Japanese Skyridge, this is probably one of the top most expensive cards at $700 to $800. Most of the cards in E series sets are between $100 and $400, no joke, in a PSA 10. Either the demand's not there for them, or people just don't want them, or maybe they just haven't. It's not their time. They are incredibly cheap, and I don't collect a bunch of them. I just collect the ones I like, and this is one of my favorites. I just sold one of these in the eBay vault. It was an older cert, so I'm happy to have this one as part of the collection. And the last boy. Bet you weren't expecting this guy. So let's talk about him. If you rewind time back to 2020, Battle Styles came out. So Vivid Voltage was out, and everyone was just kind of itching for the next set. Battle Styles came out, and I think, people don't like Battle Styles, but I think it landed fine. The Alt-Art Urshifu and the Sleepy Tyranitar. So that came out, and then Chilling Reign was on the horizon. I remember seeing the leaks in the early... images for this set. Now in Japanese, Chilling Reign is cut into 3 sets. Peerless Fighters, which is also called Matchless Fighters. Actually, I think I have them. Oh, let's do this. Chilling Reign is cut into 3 sets. Jet Black Lance. Or Jet Black Geist, gosh damn it. Silver Lance. And this. This is Peerless Fighters, Matchless Fighters. One day we'll go through the whole display, but for now I'll just give you a tease. That's a good... Where did I put the card? Oh, duh. So I remember before the card came out, and the set came out, and the leaks, people were really excited for this card. I think something happened along the way when these gold cards came out. Before they were released and then sometime after release, the hype for them just never stayed. It never picked up. I mean, this is a shiny Snorlax. One of a kind card. Right now, the population is only 950. Price wise too, only 130 to 150. So it's still cheap. The card's gorgeous. I wish these, resonate better with the audience, but I personally like it. I've had a couple of these in the collection, some that I've sold, some that I've traded. I have one in English as well, from Chili Rain. I love this card. It's one of my favorites, and that's going to top this inventory, this Babelfest that I'm on. So I think that we're at the end of the video. Just want to say thank you guys so much for the support. I'm really making this content just as an outlet to document stuff, to, engage with people, share my content, share my cards. So I appreciate all the support. Any questions and comments, anything I can share or help you with, let me know. And I think that's it. Have a good night, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.